Let's now talk about some generic and specific expressions. Generic expressions are those expressions which express generalizations about a kind or a kind of things or entities, and these are considered an important tool for the transmission of knowledge about something, because by using such generic expressions we can convey loads of information about a certain group or entity, or about a kind of people, kind of product, or a kind of anything. It tells us, it informs us about various generalizations which may be employed to convey some important information about various things. In contrast, specific expressions are those which talk about certain individual or certain particular entity in a group or in a kind. When we isolate that entity or person from a kind, that becomes a specific expression. If you look at the example in front of you, the sentence 1a says tigers are striped, whereas sentence B, 1b says tigers are on the front lawn. I'll present some other examples and you can see them in sequence of what is written here. Example 2a says a tiger is striped, and then 2b says a tiger is on the front lawn. It is different from the first example. Then third example says 3a says the tiger is striped. 3b says the tiger is on the front lawn. The interpretation of first sentence of each pair 1, 2, 3 is intuitively quite different from the interpretation of the second sentence in the pair, because the first sentence, in each sentence we could assume they convey certain generic expressions, whereas in second sentence we're talking about some particular tigers or specific tigers. For example, a group of tigers in 1b, some individual tigers in 2b, whereas some unique, salient or familiar tiger in 3b. In a sentence, the tiger is on the front lawn. It shows an indication towards a beloved pet, perhaps, or a kind of thing. So in all 1b, 2b and 3b, we can see that we have some specific expressions, and they talk about specific individuals, entities, instead of about a group or a kind. In the first sentences, however, we are saying something general. There is or are no particular tiger or tigers that we are talking about. And you can see, and they are not being indicated by articles all the time in all these expressions also. We have to capture the complete sense in order to understand generic or specific expressions. So in this way, they might be slightly different from definite or indefinite expressions in our pragmatic knowledge. A noun phrase may be generic or specific depending on whether it refers to a category or to particular members of that category. If an expression is referring to the whole group, then it may be seen as a generic expression, whereas when a noun phrase is referring to a specific member of a group, then it may be considered as a specific expression. I have another example here. In first sentence, you can see we have, it describes the bombardier beetle. It's a kind of insect which spits a lethal mixture into the face of its enemy. It's a description about a certain insect which is called bombardier beetle. In the second sentence, you can see that the giraffe, it's an animal, we all know that. The giraffe bent slowly forward and took a carrot from my palm. In the first example, we can see that bombardier beetle is generic because it refers to the set of all bombardier beetles. It is not referring to a certain bombardier beetle, rather it's talking about the quality which all bombardier beetle have. They spit some kind of poison on the face of their enemy. So, and this is not which one particular beetle, bombardier beetle does. Rather, it's the quality which belongs to all bombardier beetles. Therefore, this can be called a genetic expression. But in the second example, about which is about giraffe, we can see uh, it might have uttered during a visit to zoo, in which the giraffe refers to a particular animal which might be in front of the visitors, and thus it is specific because it is about a giraffe who bent slowly forward and took a carrot from the palm of the visitor. So therefore, this may be a specific expression or specific noun phrase. In the first sentence, we can see that bombardier uh, beetle is generic and definite. So, because it's about a definite entity, while a lethal mixture, which is being associated with bombardier beetle, is generic and indefinite. In the second sentence, which is about giraffe, giraffe is a specific and definite, uh, and a carrot is specific but indefinite. So from here we can understand that the contrast between generic and specific is quite different from the contrast between definite and indefinite expressions.